Welcome to another weekly stock market update. Today is December 14, 2019. In this stock market update analysis, we will review the S&P 500, gold, crude oil, and we will also update the trade setup for these stocks. Boeing, Disney, American Express, FireEye, Netflix, Oracle, Facebook, WYNN Resort, Las Vegas Sands, Alibaba, Peloton, Beyond Meat, ROKU, Tesla, LYFT, Uber, and many more, so stick around. Last week, the stock market continued to move into record territory. It appears Santa Claus came early this year and brought the market the three gifts it was waiting for. I mentioned the three events to watch for this past week in my last stock market video. First one is the FOMC announcement, Fed Chairman Powell press conference. Second is the December 15 trade war deadline between China and U.S. And the third was the UK election outcome. Santa seems to have gave us positive result on all three events. As expected, Fed did not announce any rate hike or rate cut last Wednesday. It remains in the dovish stand and continues to pump liquidity into the market via repo operation. It is expected to pump a total of $500 billion, yes, $500 billion by the end of January of 2020. Temporary month-end tax payment repo is all a bunch of BS. The financial press did not press Powell on the reason for the continuation of the repo operation. I guess you don't want to cut off the hands that feed you. Last Thursday, leaks started to come out on a negotiated phase one deal with China, and the market responded. The detail of the deal is still remain to be seen, but it did remove the possibility of additional tariff going into effect after December 15 if the deal was not reached. I, for one, was expecting the December 15 tariff will be delayed if a deal did not materialize by the deadline. With the phase one deal, this new tariff is off the table, and that removes a major uncertainty for the stock market, and that is a good thing. Finally, UK election results show the Conservative Party won big, more like a landslide, and now Boris Johnson will have his majority to get Brexit done in January and leave the EU once and for all. This Brexit was voted by the British, I believe it was about 4 years ago. The politicians just don't get it. People have voted for Brexit, and people want to get it done, not a re-vote to change people's mind or drag the process out to impose their party's will against the people's vote. Anyway, the market enjoyed the Santa Claus rally last week. Now the question is, will this rally continue? Before we take a look at the stock market and the setup for those stocks, let me remind you to smash that thumbs up to help me break YouTube algorithm and help support my channel. If you like the contents in this video, click the subscribe button to subscribe. Let's start looking at the stock market S&P 500 index. Look at this weekly chart here. Remember this hangman candle from the previous week? We're talking about this might lead up to some sort of a pullback. Then we see a push up to the new high. And if we go and take a look at the daily price action, here we see that we're basically looking for this gap and also possibly this gap to get filled before it pushes up to a new high. And if you notice that it did not even fill this gap, there's still a little bit more space here left to be filled. And this is down at the 50% extensions near the 3124. And on Friday, it actually finished off with a spinning top candle. This is an indecisive candle, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback down to this 3147 to this 3124 next week, and maybe get this gap completely filled before another push up. I do see that this 3200 will be the most likely target, because I think the streak is targeting this 3200. And if we kind of slow this down, because this 100 extension from this particular consolidation base here is 3220. So I wouldn't be surprised for it to come up, tag the 3200 and overshoot a bit to try to get at that 3220. And looking at the NDX is pretty much also mimic the S&P 500. After this hangman candle, it pushes up and also put in a record high. The Russell, remember the Russell, we're talking about this channel. Once you break this channel, then we're essentially looking for this thing to see, could it come up and take out the prior high. Right now, we're looking at this possible bull flag here, on this bull flag here. And if we take this extension on this zone here, the 100% extension will be 1742. That's pretty much up here at the old prior high. So, and also if we take a look at this this flag, if I just do this, then at the 100 measure move, it will bring up to 1727.61 near this pivot high. Then the Dow Jones Industrial, the Dow Jones 30 is also pushing up to a new high. And the Dow Jones Transportation still got a little work to do. The previous high is up here at 11,623.60, and it is still trying to escape this consolidation area. So I need to get above this somewhere around 11,055 area. We basically have to keep an eye on that to see would it be able to break through this consolidation area, or would it start retracing back down. Then that would not be good for the market. Then the New York Stock Exchange Composite finally made a new all-time high. See that the prior all-time high was back here, and it was 13,637. And you see last week it punched through that, and on Friday it closed at 13,697.34. Looking at the U.S. dollar index, the Dixie, you can see that the Dixie seems to be rolling over right now. I'm looking at the possibility of coming down to the 95.149 area. This basically used to be a resistance and came down here and tested for support. So right now I'm looking forward to retrace back down, possibly to this 95.14 area. And the reason why we are interested in looking at the Dixie is, if we take a look at gold, let's go and look at GLD, the gold ETF. You can see that gold is still working on this wedge here, and I'm still looking for a little bit more pullback before it breaks this wedge and then work itself back up to this 146.82 on the ETF. So, and if we go and take a look at the gold future, you can see that the gold future is still underneath the $1,500 level. It's sitting somewhere around 1482. I'm looking for the possibility of coming back down to somewhere around this 50% retracement before it pushes back up. And that's why I'm going to try to look for a swing long setup to swing it back up to somewhere around this 1566. So the other possibility, if it decide to move out of this wedge without me, then I will wait for it to come up and then maybe come back and retest this level, this pivot high, somewhere around the 1520 to look for a long setup to play it to a higher level than the 1566. And the reason why we want to look at the dollar is because the gold is pretty much following the dollar inversely. Right? With the lower dollar, the weaker dollar, then gold will get more value and it will go up, and vice versa. And it's the same thing with crude oil, because if we look at crude oil, remember we're basically looking for this thing to come up above that $60 mark. Right now, I'm still looking for this thing to possibly break out of this this consolidation base here. If we could get above this $60.94, $61. Okay, once again, if the dollar is weak, then the price of oil will go higher. Because Saudi Arabia have to keep that purchasing power, because oil is pegged to $1. If the dollar get weaker, then the cost of oil have to go back up a little bit more to compensate for the losing buying power, and vice versa. If the dollar gets stronger, then they could lower the oil prices to still maintain that purchasing power. And that's why watch the dollar. If the U.S. dollar get weaker, then look for the oil and gold to get higher. Now let's go and take a look at some of those stocks that we were talking about a few weeks ago and some more. First start with Boeing. I think Boeing's still struggling to try to get the 737 MAX, back online, and I doubt that it's going to happen soon. And it kind of reflects that on this price action. Remember, we were saying that we're basically looking for Boeing to see would it be able to break above this 391. If it could break above this 391, then the high will be in play. But if it breaks this trend line and come down below this 319.55, then essentially I'm looking for the possibility of coming back down below this $300 level. So we're still keeping an eye on this to see is Boeing going to come down and break this trend line. And once it breaks this trend line, this will be the key level to keep an eye on, 319.55. So the next one is FireEye. The reason I like FireEye is because of this multi-year base consolidation base here. So if it could break above this 1963, then it could possibly make its move back up to somewhere around this $30 area. So that's why I want to keep an eye on this. Right now, it seems to be holding up here and forming a little bit of a bull flag. So if it could, work itself up to this 1963, that might be a good level to keep an eye on for possible trade location. Next one is Netflix. Netflix, we're talking about the possibility of breaking above this pivot high here at 308.75. Then we'll be looking at this 332.65 coming back in play. But if it breaks this trend line here, then we're essentially looking for the possibility of Netflix moving back down here to somewhere around 231. As you can see, Netflix is holding this trend line here. So if we pull back and be able to push above this into this area here, this 332.65, then this trend line could be in play and possibly this pivot high here. And ORCL, we're looking for the possibility of move up and take out the 57.33, then the new high, the previous high will be in play. But as you can see, last week, due to earning, and it's kind of got sold off a little bit. So we'll still be watching this particular pivot here at 53.87. If it could hold this 53.87, essentially this trend line here, then we still could look for a potential bounce back up to the 57.33. And the next one is SOGO. So essentially, I was looking for this little bit of a cup and handle. And I was saying that as long as it hold above this 483 area here, right, and this handle, then there's still this cup and handle still in play. But if it does come down, then it invalidates this cup and handle, then it's no longer be in play. So right now it's still within this boundary here, and it still look kind of interesting. If it could break about this 553 here, all right, then could possibly make up and come up here is the basically the cup and handle major move to up somewhere around the $8.35 level here. Even though it come up to this pivot high, I think that will be 692. Here's Facebook. We're basically looking for Facebook to break this trend line. If we could break above this trend line, get up above this 208.66, then we essentially are looking at this high to be in play. If it breaks below this 173.09, then we basically are looking for the possibility of seeing Facebook back down at this pivot low here, retest this pivot low. And here's Macy. Macy reported earnings recently, and it's still within this consolidation base. So basically, I want to see would it be able to get above this base here, and that would be somewhere around above the 1733 area. And if we could break above this trend line and move above this base here, then we might be able to see maybe Macy might possibly work itself back up to these high and possibly get into this trend line here and try to break this trend line. TNA, which is a 2EX ETF, leverage ETF, and it's pretty much follow the Russell 2000. And essentially, we're basically looking for this thing to break this this channel and then move up and take out this high. If we could close above this high, 70.44, then we're essentially looking for this next pivot level at 80.08. This is the natural gas ETF, and we were looking at the possibility of breaking above this trend line, then it work itself up to this 25.47. But if it come down and break this, this support here at the 2040, and we're looking for these low to get retested. So as you can see that it came down, broke the support, and now it's making a new low. Now, GE, this is a little bit of a longer term play, maybe for a restructuring play. Right? And we're basically looking at these low being provided support, and also book this baseline here somewhere around this 1079. So we're essentially looking for this thing to be able to hold this support. And if we could hold this support here and then bounce up, then basically the next level to keep an eye on would be somewhere around 1325. But if this thing come back down and unable to hold this trend line, then we essentially could be looking for a new low. And here's ADI, looking at the semiconductor ADI, we're saying that if we could break above this trend line and move above this 1877, then we basically could look at the high to be in play. So right now, last week, it did came up to this 1846. So it closed at 118.77. So basically keep an eye on this high here to see would it be able to take out this high. But if we come back down and take out this low here, this 103.72, then we could see it maybe work itself down to the 95.51 and into this trend line. And Texas Instrument, we're looking for this thing to hold above this trend line, and it pushes up to this 124.53. If we could get up to this 124.53, then we're essentially looking for the old high to get retested, because the key thing was to hold above this 118.98. And then Maxim is pretty much just in the same sector as the Texas Instrument and also ADI. So right now we're basically looking for Maxim to see would it be able to come up to the 63.38 and break out from that resistance, and maybe it could push us up to the 70s. Now American Express, we see that American Express broke out of this 119.98, and right now it seems to be heading toward the old high. Disney, we're basically looking for Disney to break out of this 140.08 to put in a higher high and then pull back. Looking for a pullback to put in a higher low, and then we'll see it to continue to push higher. So right now, it did close about this 140.08. Basically waiting for a pullback to see, how low of this pullback will go. Hopefully, it will stay about the 140.08. Then pushes up. And on Alibaba, we're basically looking for this thing to push above this trend line, get above this 195.72, then the old high, which would be somewhere around 211, will be in play. So right now it's getting close to get up there. I think last week the high was 207. The high was 207.10. So no, maybe next week this high will get tested. Let's take a look at WYNN Resort here. Looking at WYNN, last week, it really shot up, especially on Thursday, when China announced that they want to turn Macau into more of a business center, in addition to being a casino city. So that will most likely help bring more international visitors into Macau, and that will be good for WYNN Resort as well as Las Vegas Sands and all the other casinos. Business there. So looking at WYNN a few weeks ago, we were talking about this particular pivot here. We want to see it break this trend line and move above this trend line toward the pivot high here, somewhere around 141.29. And as you can see, last week it made a nice push and broke out of this trend line. But in addition to that, we were also watching the 120.23. If it dipped below this 120.23, then we could possibly see it work itself down to this lower trend line. So a few weeks ago, when it dipped down here, that kind of make us be a little bit cautious. And then now it break above that trend line, and this level here, 141.29, is back in play. So looking at the daily on when we saw it here, you see this there was this little bit of a price channel, and it could act as a bull flag, and we could take this bull flag flagpole and then project that up. So let's go and see what kind of major move we could see, because there was this 141.29 target that we're basically looking at. So let's do this projection up here. As you can see, this 100% major move is pretty close to this 141.29. It's basically sitting at 140. So that's definitely a potential target here up at these pivot high. And Las Vegas Sand also push up just like when we saw it. It will, it pushes up to this level here, 68.46. So it's taking out this pivot high. So if we could maintain above this pivot high, then we could see this high get tested up here at the 81.45. Here's looking at Peloton. Let's take a look at Pelotons on a daily basis. You can see that it came up. Actually, it retraced the IPO pullback 100%, and then it pushes up. So right now, basically looking for this thing to pull back to this retracement zone here. All right, so right now it is kind of testing this retracement zone last week, and it's sitting above the 618. So I wouldn't be surprised, watch this thing to break back above that trend line and take out this high here at 3702. So Peloton is kind of interesting. Watch that. If it pull back into these retracement area, then definitely would be interested in looking for some sort of a long setup for swing long back up to the recent high at 3702. And here's Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is also interesting. Let's go and take a look at the 60-minute chart here. So you can see Beyond Meat is set up a base here, and then it broke down. And right now it's trying to get back into this base, this consolidation base. So if this thing could come back up and break out of this, then we could see Beyond Meat to try to fill this gap here. And that would bring this thing up at the 88, somewhere around 89 area to near the 104. So basically got this gap here that we're waiting to be filled. But the first thing is you have to get back into the zone and then break out of this 83. So right now seems to be holding here. And looking at ROKU is kind of interesting as well. It got this big sell-off and then come back up and almost got back to the high. Then it gapped down again. And last week, while the market is making all-time high, ROKU is actually having a difficult week. And then we take a look at the daily price, and you can see that it is rolling over and trying to come down, test this trend line here. So we'll be watching this 119.5, especially this pivot low here, which is 116.26. So keep an eye on this level here. Let me put this on. So this 116.26 here, keep an eye on that level. If it come down, test this trend line, then this is the potential level to hold support. If it doesn't, then we're basically looking for ROKU to continue to drop and possibly get below 100 and get down to this pivot low here, somewhere around 98.08. Then Tesla. Tesla is interesting. It's one of the most, how would I say, emotional stock. There is very strong bias on either side. So let's go and take a look at the weekly here. And remember, we are talking about this big band of up and down between this 176.99 to 389. So essentially, is 177 to 390. Tesla appears to be targeting this upper band here. on this 389, and the streak is pretty much putting out a $400 target there for Tesla to hit. And with the momentum on the upside, the chances are it will go and try to hit that target. Put your emotion aside and watch the price action. And the price action said, look out, 400, here it come, right? So basically, look at that. So right now, it essentially came up, right, and do a little bit of a U-turn here. So right now, we're basically looking to see would it be able to take out this high and continue to move up to that 389. If it come down, here's what we want to see would it be able to hold this low. Right? If it's not, then this right here will be key. We definitely do not want this earning gap to get filled. Now let's look at LYFT. LYFT is also interesting too, because on the share ride, essentially they are not making money, but right now it seems like the market have changed in the sentiment regarding to LYFT and Uber, which we'll look at Uber after this. That they think that the business model there could be a profitable one if they just nudge it a little bit of increasing the price, even though they might lose some ridership. But all in all, with that increase in price and offset the loss of ridership, they could make money. So we're basically looking at LYFT here. You see LYFT got a nice, basically a cup and handle type of a breakout, and it came back into this baseline and retest this baseline here. So we could also look at this as a potential head and shoulder, right? So let me redraw this, because we could also look at this as a potential head and shoulder and then push this up, right? But right now, if we just look at this as a cup and handle, okay, looking at this cup and handle here, the 100 extension major moves is 54.57. Right? Then you could just trace this up. 200 is basically near the 68.73. But right now, even just on the price action, just on this channel, right? You could look at it this way. That could lead to 54.57 area. Okay, so take a look at that and keep an eye on LYFT. Now, looking at Uber is a little slightly different than LYFT. I think LYFT, the price action is a little bit more bullish than Uber, but I think they both offer opportunities to to see how it will go up. Because right now it's basically trying to break out of this trend line here, and also got this little space here, bouncing up and down. So get a little bit of a balance here. So if it could come up and take out this 31 area for Uber, then we basically looking at this 33.89. So we're basically looking to see would it be able to get up above this this zone here, okay, and then get into this pivot high here. So those are your stocks, and those are the market. Just be careful next week. The market volume will start getting lighter as Christmas approaches, and also next Friday is quad witching, and also the spider will paying a dividend, and there's a rebalancing on the S&P 500 index. So there's a lot of things going on next week, and leading to it, most likely we will see some increase in volatility. Good luck, and thank you for watching.